Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Today we're doing a comparison video and we're looking at the difference between
year-round homeschooling and school term homeschooling.
So what is school term homeschooling?
So school term homeschooling would typically refer to if you're schooling your kids in your regular public school type of schedule for the year. So around here, school starts in September and it ends in June. So if you are school term homeschooling, you would be
matching that
school term pretty closely. So most people would either do that from September to June. They might do a little bit into August to the end of May, but they're pretty close to the public school system in terms of their breaks and when they're actually schooling. Mm-hmm. The other thing that you would see is it's characterized by having a large summer break.
A large summer break and also a couple weeks at Christmas time.
And spring
and a March break.
Yeah, a spring break.
And we're comparing that with year-round homeschooling, which is characterized by, well, the fact that it's taught year-round. You're doing homeschooling year-round. There's a lot more breaks. There's smaller breaks, more frequent. You might pause every 6 to 7 weeks, time off in the summer a little bit, around Christmas time, Easter, March break, and also your weeks are not as jam-packed. You have more time to breathe.
Yeah, so let's do the pros and cons for each type of homeschooling. So we'll start with the pros and cons of school term homeschooling. So some of the pros would include things like because you're following the school term schedule, you can take advantage of programs that are offered to public school kids when they're not in school.
Summer camps, March breaks, things like that.
Yeah, so you can totally take advantage of those kinds of programs, and your kids can spend time with kids who are not homeschoolers during those times. Mm-hmm. So that's one advantage. You have a longer summer break. Mm-hmm. Usually it's like 9 to 12 weeks off during the summer.
So if your family likes to do some traveling or things like that, you have time to do that where you're not worrying about, having to do your homeschooling.
Yeah. And because you have that longer break in the summer, it also makes planning a little less stressful because you have, like I said, 2 to 3 months to figure out what you want to do next year, order any curriculum or books or materials that you need. You kind of have this little you have time to plan. Yeah, you have time to plan. You have time to get those things organized and ordered into your house without the stress of we need them tomorrow kind of thing.
So now we're going to look at the cons of school term homeschooling.
One of them being is that kids can lose a lot of their learning over the summer. This has been proven in the public school system, and sometimes depending on the subject and how much reading and keep up work they're doing over the summer, kids can lose anywhere from 1 to 3 months of learning knowledge over a large break. So that is something to keep in mind.
You're just not drilling, you're not practicing in the summer.
So that's something to keep in mind as a kind of a con if you're taking a big break.
Yeah. The other thing to look at too is that when you have such a big summer break, it kind of feeds the mentality that school is something that we take a break from. It's something that is hard, not necessarily fun. Summer is fun, and so we have this thing that's really hard that we did, and we need to remove ourselves from it for a while and take a break. So
it can also feed into the idea that learning is something that happens at a certain time and in a certain place. So because you're doing it on this schedule and between this time and this time is when we're doing our school, and after this time we don't do school anymore, it can feed into the idea that if you're not doing this and this, you're not learning. So that's another thing to think about.
We like to say learning anytime, anywhere. So when you're not taking breaks from learning, it opens up the opportunity to really develop a love of learning, and that you can learn anytime, anywhere, and have that lifelong learning, that passion for learning your whole life. It's not something that you hide from or you take a break from.
Yeah.
So now we're going to look at the pros of year-round homeschooling.
Yeah. So one of the pros is that your kids' learning and their memory retention stay sharp because you're not taking 9 to 12 week breaks.
Yeah.
you're taking like a 1 week break every couple of weeks.
And they're practicing those skills often and keeping them sharp.
Yeah, so that's a pro. It definitely also feeds into the idea of learning anytime, anywhere, because it's something that you're just continuously doing. You're continuously working on your reading, you're continuously doing your math, you're continuously, exploring nature, you're continuously doing these other activities. So it's not like your learning stops, right?
It just helps develop that love of learning.
It's a little bit more flexible, which is another great pro to year-round homeschooling, is that because you have 52 weeks instead of 30-something, you can do a 3-day school week, or you can do a 4-day school week without feeling the stress of having to get everything done.
Yeah, the kids get sick or, life happens.
It just gives you the flexibility of having, you can go out more often, you can do more field trips without feeling like you're falling behind on your schoolwork work or your curriculum work. So it just gives you that kind of flexibility of having a more relaxed feel in your homeschooling. Yeah. There's that.
You're not cramming it into 8 months.
Yes. Yeah, you have a little bit more time, which is kind of nice. One of the other benefits or pros of year-round homeschooling is that you can move away from grades. So some people do like to move away from grades for a variety of reasons. For example, if one of their kids are further behind in a certain subject, it just takes the pressure off of that child knowing that they're not behind, and you can kind of focus more on what your kids are doing, how you're making them better, rather than what grade they're supposed to be on.
So now some of the cons of the year-round homeschooling. It might feel like it's less structure, so for people who enjoy structure, it might be something to get used to.
Yeah, because you're often going from having 5 days of schoolwork and this is what we do every single day to we're only doing 2 or 3 or maybe 4, and we're also going out a lot more, and it's a much more flexible schedule, and for some people that's just really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Another con, especially if you're a planning person, it can be difficult because you kind of get in this feeling that school never ends.
So you're always planning.
You're always moving forward, and
you never really have much time to plan because the next term is starting tomorrow.
And if your math curriculum runs out today, what are you going to do for the next couple weeks until it comes in? And especially for us from Canada, sometimes shipping things takes a little bit longer, so you just have to be more conscious of those things, and it's just something to think about, is that you need to know when your stuff is ending and what you need to order. Another con for year-round homeschooling is sometimes the cost can be a little bit more, and the reason we say that is because if your
kids aren't in school grades,
yeah,
then you're probably always moving on to the next curriculum. So if they've gone through something really quickly, then you need to move on to the next set.
Yeah. So if you picked a science curriculum and it had 6 units and you were working in a school term situation, you might finish that in 7 months, and you would just take the last month. You're like, oh, we already did our science, no big deal, move on. But if you're year-round homeschooling, now those 7 months, you're going to probably want to get something else, because now you have 5 months until the end of your year comes around, and you don't want to just not do a subject for 5 months.
Yeah.
So you might be looking at more curriculum because you're kind of always cycling and always going. So those are the pros and cons to school term homeschooling and year-round.
Yep.
And now we're going to give you our opinion.
Our take.
The
Raising A to Z take on it.
On what we do and why we do it.
So we like to do year-round homeschooling. We work in 3 terms. So our first term is from September to the end of December, and then our second term is from January to April, and then we have a third term, which is June to August. Or did I say that? May. Which is...
May.
I didn't do that, I skipped May. And then we have our third term, which is May to the end of August.
Yeah, we take most of the month of December off.
Yeah, which is kind of, there's still learning happening.
Yeah, it's just we're not doing so much book work during that time. We do other activities.
And we gear it towards Christmas.
Yeah, we do like a whole Christmas kind of unit kind of thing. And then throughout the rest of the year, every 6 to 7 weeks, give or take, we take a week off. So there'll be a week where we don't do any book work, and we just...
Still lots of reading, still lots of exploring, all those things.
But we're not doing any curriculum. and we might stick at home a little closer and just take care of the things that we need to do and just kind of relax a little bit. So because we do year-round, it doesn't mean that our terms look exactly the same from term 1 to the end of term 3. For example, in term 2, which is January to the end of April, we tend to do a lot more stuff in the house. We tend to do more book work, working on like curriculums and stuff.
Because it's -40 outside.
And it's Canada. Whereas in the summer, which is our term 3 from May to August, there's at least 2 months there where he's home, he's not working.
And so there's more opportunities for me to do things with the girls and exploring outside and doing all sorts of different fun activities that I dream up all year but never have time to do.
And it's also a great opportunity for us to do activities or experiments or things that are just easier when you have 2 sets of parents. Or 2 sets of hands even.
The other thing is more time for trips and things like that too. So the summer is when we'll often take, a weekend here or a week there and go visit family or things like that. And so the learning continues still.
Yes. With a little bit of curriculum sprinkled in there. We kind of do we do less, but we still do it kind of all throughout, which I think is how we roll. And one of the other reasons why we love year-round homeschooling is because it allows us to have like short school weeks. So we typically only do seat work 2 to 3 times a week. And then we fill the rest of the week with outings, going to play groups and socializing and appointments, and we have to do some more extracurriculars. So it's a nice balance for us to do schooling and then life on top of it, and it's what works really well for our family. So
that's what works best for us, the year-round homeschooling. If you can let us know in the comments what you like to do and what works for you and your family. If you've been watching our videos and you like what you see and you find it educational and informative, please consider subscribing and click the bell to get notified whenever we put up a new video, and you'll get all our tips and tricks and ideas and all that stuff. Also, you can check out our website and make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notifications when we upload our latest videos.
Give us a thumbs up and don't forget to leave us a comment. We'll see you next week for more activities, adventures, and lifelong learning. Bye!